I have pink sneakers. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Braid and Tinker podcast. My name is Melanie, and I'm a knitter, a hand dyer, and by day I'm a computer programmer, and I sometimes talk to myself in a room to my iPhone, and then I put whatever the result is on YouTube, and sometimes people watch that. So welcome. Let's begin. I have a little announcement. I'm going to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival in March. So I am really, really excited about that. It's going to be my very first yarn festival. I've been to like craft shows and things where there's like sometimes like a little pocket of yarn and then scrapbooking stuff. But yeah, I haven't been to like an actual show dedicated to yarn. Pretty excited. There are going to be some fantastic vendors, and I'll probably not be able to bring home all the things that I buy. So my plan is to just mail it to myself from Edinburgh to the Netherlands, which is where I live, to Haarlem. I'm sure that'll be fine. The postal services sometimes still function, right? Yeah. So I'm also super excited to do some celeb spotting and watch the other podcasters, like actual famous podcasters, not like me, but you know, people that get lots of views and things, and you know, meet some of them and see what they're up to. And I don't know, I'm doing a workshop on the Thursday. I was super lucky and I got tickets to the Felicity Ford workshop, or one of her workshops. I think she does more, one of her colour work workshops, and you know, they were sold out. I was like sitting behind my computer and just going like refresh, it's online, and bought it, and then like 3 minutes later they were sold out. So that was really, really exciting. That actually reminds me, I need to check if there's like any homework I need to do, or if I need to bring anything. I mean, I'll obviously bring some knitting, but if I need to bring special size needles, I don't know. I just bought the ticket and never looked at it again. Okay. I will totally not forget to do that. So yes. I had a plan and whoosh, I'm blanking. So last podcast I discussed some stuff that I got for Christmas, and I got some books and some really good knitting books, and there was like one book that wasn't there that I was supposed to get. Apparently I didn't know. It's not like, you know, I know exactly what I'm going to get for Christmas. I'm so confused. So I'll just show you what it is. It's this book. It's the Japanese Knitting Stitch Bible, and it's so cute and complicated. It has these lovely, lovely patterns in it, or like inspirational photos and things. Masses of lace work. Look at this. If you hear people shouting, it's outside. Look at that. It's so fantastic. I think, like, look at this one. Isn't that great? Wouldn't that be great on a sweater? Just wonderful, wonderful, like intricate, complicated stuff. And I think it will be really, really interesting to see if I can translate some of this stuff into sock patterns, because I like vanilla socks, but I took a picture, I think it was this week, of my sort of hand knit sock collection, and it's just so much more interesting if they have like a knitted pattern on them. So it's not for every yarn, you know, a super speckled hand-dyed yarn. It's probably not the most suited for lace work because it just gets muddled and you can't really see what the pattern is. But yeah, it's so pretty. And they, yeah, have some stuff here. The only thing about this is that it is, I think it's a bit above my level. If you get to like page 13, 12, it has like some explanation of symbols and how you knit it, and I just get lost. That just looks like fish to me. I don't know. That's a whale. It's another whale swimming the other way. That one's with a whale with lots of legs. That's two fish. Two fish swimming the other way. That one looks like an aeroplane. It's another aeroplane. I don't know. It'll be a challenge, I think, to do some of these. But I am very, very interested to see how I get on with that. So yes, that was one of my very last Christmas presents. So Christmas is finally over. Speaking of Christmas, I finished my candy cane Christmas socks. As in, they have little cuffs. They're quite a good cuff actually. Look at all that. Definitely like a good couple of rows. The only thing these socks don't have are heels, which I will be putting in later, but I just didn't feel like it yet, so I'm doing an afterthought heel, and I might do a video of that, but there are so many videos explaining how to do afterthought heels. I might not bother. I don't think it adds anything to see me do it, but you know, anybody really, really, really wants to see me do afterthought heels, just let me know. I might. I have quite a bit of yarn left of this, and this is like way more than I need for the heels, so I could do maybe some short socks, but then I wear my short socks in summer and it's not, it's on the floor now. It's not really like a summery colour combination thing, so I'm not sure. It's on the floor again, it's fine. Yes, I did some yarn dyeing this week. It's so pretty. I'm like in this little pink peach mood. More pink, I think, actually. But I really like this. I think I'm going to cast on a new pair of socks. Yeah. Or I might do a shawl. I'm not sure yet. Does this look like a shawl coloured? I don't think it's really very like, I don't think it's a hat. Ooh, a headband maybe. I don't know. I think these are socks. These want to be socks. Something else I've been knitting on that has been a little bit neglected was my sock head hat. So I think I did about this much this week. I was watching television, and then this is a good project because it's just stockinette mainly. There's like a little garter rib thing going on here, but mainly stockinette. I really like the shape of the hat, and I really like the colours when they were on the skein, but now that it's knitted up, I'm not sure. And also, I don't know, it doesn't look like a Melanie colour at all. So I am extremely tempted to over dye this hat when it's done. And I'm thinking to just use this like ultraviolet colour to just cover the whole thing. I'm a little bit worried about how the yellow is going to affect the violet. I'm kind of worried it'll go like green. But maybe I can start with like a little swatch, over dye that, see how it turns out, and then make a decision. I mean, if it comes out terrible, you know, in the end you can always dye it black, which wouldn't even be, you know, this is sparkle yarn, so if it's black, it'll just be a really nice black hat with sparkles. Sounds like a plan to me. But so yeah, I guess that sometimes just happens. Things look nice on the skein and then you knit with it and it's too much. I don't know. I think it looks a bit kind of almost leopardy print. I don't know. I think the yellow just doesn't really, if it was just either of these colors on its own, it would be fine. But now that they're together, I'm not sure. I'm very, very tempted to over dye that. So last week I was knitting on this. This is the Puke Yeyu shawl by Marcella Chang from the Chili Knits podcast. And I have made quite a dent in this thing. It's not really shawl shaped yet. Really short shawl. So I'm probably about halfway. But, you know, it's looking good. It's going well. I really like this thing. Where's my needle? Oh, here it is. I've been working on this pretty exclusively this week because I like it so much. It's up close. It's just a really fun knit. I don't think this is very suitable for beginners not because it's complicated. It just increases and decreases like following each other in rapid succession. It's not complicated to do, but if you mess up, it can be quite fiddly to sort of fix dropped stitches and stuff like that, because you have like these things where there's like a stitch and then there's like 3 increases on top of that, and if you're trying to like redo that with a crochet hook, it's not fun. So it's best to keep your wits about you and sort of pay attention and don't make any mistakes. But other than that, it's really not complicated. It's very fun. And I'm really looking forward to finishing this and getting to the tassel stage, because there's like 9 tassels at the end of it and I am really ready to make them. So super pleased. Have you seen my little croissant progress keeper? Is that cute? I got it this week. I ordered some progress keepers. I have another one. It's a little frappuccino guy. I ordered them at Pink Pretties on Etsy. Is there? I'll put the link in the description box. Is this? Yeah, Pink Pretties. I think it's so cute. How cute is that little dollop of chocolate schmear stuff on his head. It's adorable. I love these. Okay, so that's my shawl, my hat and my socks. And so this morning I thought I want to cast on something else, and I knew we had some Jameson and Smith in the combined stash. So my boyfriend bought this yarn a little while back because he had a plan for it, and then he swatched and he couldn't get gauge and he was kind of frustrated, which I can understand. So it's been sort of like lying around, and I thought I want to do something with this. And so this morning I found the Mayfield knits by Erica Heuser. Erica makes these mittens. They're fingerless mitts, and they have like this lovely hummingbird design, and it's very sort of like, to me it's like, I don't know, it's very sort of 1920s pretty flowery naturey type design. I really liked it. She also does the underwing mitts with the moths on it that a lot of people are doing, or I seem to be doing, on Instagram at the moment. So yeah, cast those on this morning, and this is where I got. Not very far yet, but oh well. I think it's a cute project. I'll be very I'm just really excited about how those will turn out. I think this yarn is very like a good choice for it, because it's that kind of like rusticy, sticky yarn that's really good for color work. So yeah, I think it looks good. Next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is some other podcasters. I'm going to give you my top 3 podcasts with men. I work in IT. It's a very male-dominated industry, which is, to me, so funny that I like knitting, because the knitting world is so completely different. It is almost everything about knitting is 100% the opposite of my work in IT, especially like just the act of knitting. There are similarities. It's sometimes very binary. It's very, purl or knit stitch. It's just those two choices. It's very linear. You follow the pattern line by line, as if you are the computer and the knitting pattern is the computer program telling you what to do every line. But the knitting world is so female dominated, whereas, which is so different from IT, where it's mainly men. So I quite like it when there's podcasts that include men. As someone who works in IT, I like it to be an environment that is inclusive to me, but also other people. And I think that knitting should be the same. One of my favorite podcasters are not really podcasters. They're more like knitting people. They are Arne and Carlos. And I think they're probably super popular and favorites for most people. I've actually met them when I was working, before I started working in IT, I worked in communications, and we did a lot of consumer events, and one of the events was a craft show, we invited them to come round one year when their Christmas Balls book was very, very popular. It had been translated into Dutch, and Dutch knitters were going crazy about Arnie and Carlos. So we invited them, and so I met them, and they are such nice guys. And it's been funny to sort of like follow their knitting journey, and because they started doing garment design, then got really popular with their knitting balls, their Christmas balls, and then they had a book with dolls and dolls clothing that I really like. I've done a lot of patterns to make toys out of that book. They've had so many different types of books, and it's been really nice to see what they're up to, and it's always like a surprise, like whenever they come with a new book, it's like, oh, not what I had expected, but it's really fun. It's not like a classic knitting podcast per se, but it's actually really good. They have like some videos and tutorials, and they do explain a lot of the techniques that they use. They show you up quite close how they do like their color work, or how they knit socks, or how they steek a cardigan, with a sewing machine and stuff like that. And for some reason, the way that they explain things just really makes sense to me. So I really enjoy watching those videos. Okay. The next podcast is also sort of Scandinavian. Well, it is Scandinavian. But that's a husband and wife knitting podcast called Kammerbornia. And I love that. I have recently discovered this podcast, and it's fantastic. It is Pia and her husband Dennis, and most of it is in Swedish, but they have subtitles, so you can totally follow what's going on. And their vibe is like so sort of natural and slow, and I think it really encompasses, is that the right word? Anyway, it really shows what knitting is all about. It's not quick, here's a garment, quick, here's something else, some mittens, some gloves. It's like the whole atmosphere of their podcast is like, let's just enjoy this. Let's just sit around and have some coffee and talk about what we're making. And it's a very slow pace, and it's lovely music in the background. And here's another shot of this fantastic island in Sweden where we live, where it seems to be, I don't know, lovely weather, whether it's cold or warm or whatever, and people are happy and shiny and fantastic. And I don't know, I'm sure it's it's not always like that in Sweden, but it looks really good. I really enjoy that. And I've been really inspired by that podcast to sort of have something to sort of, I mean, not the way that I do the podcast now, because now it's just like, oh my god, I have an hour today, quickly turn on my phone, record something. But at some point in this year, I would like to sort of like expand and make nicer videos and show, a little bit of the Netherlands. And I've been thinking about Dutch knitting history, and what can I say about that, and what can we find out about that. And there's a book that's quite a little bit popular. It's about fishermen's sweaters, but that's the only thing that's sort of like common if you want information about Dutch knitting history, that's about the only thing you can find. But there has to be more. This country has been knitting for so long. What are typical Dutch colorwork patterns? I can find like one pair of gloves or mittens that has traditional Dutch colorwork. That's it. That's all I could find. There was something on television this week. You have in winter, when it is really, really cold enough and lakes and rivers freeze over, they have a ice skating competition in Friesland. It's called the Elfstedentocht, which means like an 11 city tour or something. It's pretty brutal. They skate for hours. It's crazy. People skate for 10, 11 hours sometimes, maybe longer. But it's really, really popular. It's been over 20 years since we've had one, because the quality of the ice hasn't been good enough to organize it. And they had some like people who won it in the past, and one of them was in 1963. And, he was wearing a hat that his wife had knit him. He was wearing gloves that someone had knit him. And they had all these pictures of women weren't allowed to participate in this race, but all these men skating. And, they had all these knitted garments. They're not all Norwegian or Swedish patterns. They're not all Scandinavian knitwear. Some of it has to be Dutch. It can be Norwegian influenced, but somebody put like a Dutch twist on it. But I think a lot of that stuff has been lost. So it would be interesting, I think, to sort of find stuff out and maybe find patterns, or maybe find garments and sort of translate them into patterns. And then, not just have them in Dutch, but then also translate them into English, because I know there are lots of people, especially in the US and Canada, who have Dutch heritage and who would love to make something where they can feel connected with their ancestors. So yeah, I've definitely been sort of like inspired by that podcast, even though that's not something that they do. They just knit Scandinavian knits, and Pia does lovely patterns. You can find them on Etsy. I'll put a link down below. But it has inspired me to sort of like find that Dutch knitting feel and vibe and heritage, and sort of dig that up. So I have none of that, but it is something that I want to work towards and sort of like unearth as I go along, and show to everybody in this podcast. So hopefully that is something that people are interested in. So the last podcast that I love watching is the Color and Life podcast, which is a mother and son from the US duo. And I just think that podcast is darling. It is absolutely darling. They have wonderful stuff that they make. They have the most fantastic energy. It's so funny because I have a son and he's like 2, so he's not knitting at all, but like their energy is so funny. You'll have the son like knit something, and then his mum asks him like, "Are you sure you want to do it that way? Because you'll probably run into a problem." And the son will go, no, no, no. And you can like tell by her face, she's like, you are going to get hit a snag, but I'm just going to let you find that out for yourself. I think it's just hilarious. I love that podcast. I watch it. Like, I have a notification on my phone, you know, whenever it comes out, I watch it because I think it's fantastic. So yeah, those are like my 3, I guess, male inclusive knitting podcast video YouTube thing tips. It's Arne and Carlos, Como Bornea, and the Colour and Life podcast. I think that's it for this week. Thank you very much for watching. I have one more thing. So I told you I was a little bit into the peach and pink thing. I have pink sneakers. I'll leave with that. I think they're great. I love them. I saw a picture of them on the internet. I was like, yes, click, buy, thank you, those are mine. Okay. I am happy every time I wear them. Pink sneakers. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope to see you again soon. Bye.